Today we're exploring the remarkable mechanics of curiosity. Whether you're trying to understand the hidden depths of your own hometown or navigate the incredibly complex, often frustrating logistics of international travel.
Which is an absolute nightmare for most people.
Oh, totally. But
Yeah.
curiosity is the skeleton key here. We have an excellent stack of sources today. We are pulling from project overviews, reference guides, and some really detailed biographical notes on a creator and entrepreneur named Vicki Conley.
Yeah, Vicki's work is fascinating.
It really is. So our mission is to uncover Vicki's unique philosophy on how treating life like a strategic puzzle and deliberately gathering the stories of the people you meet along the way can just unlock opportunities you probably wouldn't believe.
And her approach is so compelling because she applies this exact same analytical framework to every aspect of her life.
Right.
Like, she doesn't have a business mindset over here and a personal mindset over there. She has this unified theory of curiosity that scales from, a single conversation on a Tuesday afternoon all the way up to international group travel logistics.
So if you're listening to this right now, consider your own life for a second. Have you ever felt like you just don't have an interesting story to tell?
So many people feel that way.
Yeah, or maybe you've been completely overwhelmed by the hidden logistics of a supposedly cheap travel deal that ended up costing you a fortune in stress and hidden fees.
The hidden fees will always get you.
Every time. Well, stick around because by the end of this deep dive, you are going to view both your personal experiences and your travel plans through a completely different, much more adventurous lens. So let's start with the human element. We need to look at Vicki's foundational belief, which really serves as the bedrock for all of her projects. She believes that people connect with people, stories create connection, and connection creates opportunity.
That is the core engine driving her work. I mean, Vicki is the founder of a company called Laptop Life, and she's the creator of several initiatives, including Go Wild Locals and a project called Voices of the Chamber.
Which is a partnership with the Windsor Chamber of Commerce, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And the premise of Voices of the Chamber is it's really unusual in the best way. Because typically, when a business organization puts out content to promote a town, it's highly polished and focused entirely on the VIPs.
Right, they want the big names.
Yeah, they want to interview the celebrity CEO, the mayor, the top-tier industry experts.
Instead, she focuses entirely on the real people operating the actual machinery of local business.
The everyday workers.
Yeah, I mean, she interviews the owners, sure, but she also seeks out the employees, the volunteers, the board members, the community connectors.
The people whose names aren't on the building, but who actually make the town function on a daily basis.
Exactly. And her observation after meeting thousands of business owners is that the most interesting part of a business is almost never its product or its service.
Interesting.
It's the personal journey. It's the challenges, the specific turning points, and, the deep motivations of the people running it.
To me, it feels very much like looking at a finished building. Like most of us walk by a local business and we just see the bricks, the paint, the signage. We just see the final static product.
Yeah, we don't look past the lobby.
Exactly. But Vicki's work is about walking you past that lobby to introduce you to the architect. She wants to explain the struggles of the builders, the pouring of the foundation, the days the weather wouldn't cooperate. She wants you to understand the sweat equity that actually holds those bricks together.
Because when you only see the bricks, you miss the human resilience that keeps the building standing. And more importantly, you miss the opportunity to learn from the mistakes and triumphs of the person who built it.
Right. But I do want to challenge this underlying assumption for a second, though.
Okay, go for it.
The philosophy sounds incredibly noble on paper. But is it really true that absolutely everyone has a story worth sharing?
Yes.
I mean, what about someone who just works a totally standard, highly repetitive 9-to-5 job? Like they clock in, they do the paperwork, they clock out. Do they really have a hidden legacy waiting to be uncovered? Or is that just romanticizing the mundane?
That is a really common skepticism, and it's actually the exact self-doubt that Vicki encounters from the subjects themselves.
Oh, really?
Yeah, people constantly sit down for these interviews and warn her, and they say, look, I really don't have a story. But Vicki fundamentally disagrees with that premise.
Why is that?
Because a standard 9-to-5 isn't a life. It's just a schedule. It's a logistical container.
Ooh, a logistical container. I like that.
Right. And beneath that container, that person has navigated personal crises. They've made distinct choices about how they treat angry customers, learned specific lessons about human nature, and subtly impacted the community around them.
So basically, the lack of a story is usually just a lack of the right questions being asked.
Precisely. People suffer from routine blindness. They do something so often they forget it takes skill, or they forget the struggle it took to get there.
Wow, routine blindness. That's so true.
Yeah, and when Vicky digs into these everyday stories, she is doing two things simultaneously. First, she's actively preserving local legacy. She's documenting the actual unvarnished fabric of the Windsor community.
Which is great on its own.
Right. But second, and perhaps more importantly, the psychological process of being interviewed, of having someone genuinely, intensely curious about your specific journey, that helps that person recognize the value of their own experiences.
So the mechanism of the interview actually changes their self-perception.
Exactly. It proves to them that their unique perspective holds weight.
Okay, so if she is treating a conversation with a local business owner like this complex puzzle to unlock, what happens when she applies that exact same framework to a literal geographical puzzle?
Now we get into the travel side.
Yes, the transition here is fascinating because she takes this identical philosophy of digging beneath the surface and applies it to international travel.
Which brings us to her Wildcard Adventures project. It perfectly shows how the mindset scales up from local connection to global exploration.
Right. And according to the project overviews, Wildcard Adventures wasn't supposed to be a massive content ecosystem at all.
Yeah.
It literally started as just her personal research for a 14-day Mexican Riviera cruise casino offer.
Just a single opportunity. A casino offer that included drinks on us and some onboard credit.
But the trap with these offers is that most people look at the shiny perks, book the trip impulsively, and then get absolutely crushed by the hidden logistical costs of actually utilizing the offer.
Right, because Vicky's core travel philosophy is that travel is a puzzle to be solved. And crucially, the advertised price is only one piece of the puzzle.
So she receives this invitation for the Mexican Riviera, but she has to figure out how to get from northern Colorado to the cruise terminal in Long Beach, California. And her notes on this logistics puzzle are intense.
She goes deep.
She really does. She's weighing Frontier Go Wild flight considerations, comparing flying into LAX versus Long Beach Airport. She's looking into utilizing the landline bus system in Colorado and mapping out various cruise transfer options.
She is decoding the transportation matrix. Let's look at the mechanics of why this is a puzzle. Take the airport dilemma, LAX versus Long Beach. LAX might offer cheaper, more frequent flights, but LAX is massive, chaotic, and requires an expensive, time-consuming Uber or a really complex shuttle ride to get down to the Long Beach cruise terminal.
Which eats up all the money you saved on the flight.
Exactly. Long Beach Airport, conversely, is tiny and just minutes from the port, but flights there might be rarer or way more expensive, especially on budget carriers.
And then you factor in that Frontier Go Wild pass, which usually requires extreme flexibility in booking very close to departure.
Yeah.
But a cruise ship isn't flexible. It leaves when it leaves.
Yeah, they don't wait for you.
Right. So she has to solve this tension between a rigid departure time and a flexible flight pass.
And she is constantly looking for the intersection of cost, time, and sanity. Like she brings in the landline bus system, which connects regional hubs in northern Colorado directly into the Denver airport security system.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, it saves her the hassle of airport parking and driving I-25 traffic.
It reminds me of scoring a remarkably cheap ticket to a massive stadium concert. You get the ticket and you are thrilled, but then you realize, oh, wait, I have to figure out event parking, a hotel in the city, gas money, getting time off work.
The cheap ticket was really just the invitation to the puzzle.
Exactly. The cruise offer is the invitation, but the execution is the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
She literally just did this again.
Oh, she's unstoppable.
I know. Before she even finished editing the content from the Mexican Riviera trip, a friend called with another casino offer. So they booked a 6-day Eastern Caribbean cruise aboard the Carnival Vista out of Port Canaveral.
Just jumping right back into the matrix.
Right, and the cruise fare was just $310 a person. But again, the perks were huge. Drinks everywhere, $200 onboard credit, and this upgrade to the Pearl Cove Beach Club at Celebration Key.
Wow. But she still had to solve the puzzle of getting there.
She did. And she found a $78 round-trip Frontier fare to Orlando because she figured out that Frontier's best fares are usually on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. So she just flew in a few days early.
See, that's the strategy. But wait, what about getting home from that original 14-day Long Beach cruise? Did she solve that piece?
Yes. So plan A for getting home from Long Beach was hoping for a $16 Go Wild Pass flight. But since this new Carnival Vista cruise was leaving just a couple days later, she couldn't risk getting stuck in California.
Oh, the stress of that.
Right. So she watched the fares for weeks and finally snagged a $44 flight home.
$44? That's incredible.
Done. She bought it as an insurance policy. If a Go Wild flight opens up earlier, great. If not, she knows she's getting home. And to top it off, she figured out a $29 airport shuttle that includes free parking, drops her at the terminal, and takes her right back to her car at midnight.
That is just brilliant logistics.
It is. And to keep it all straight, she currently has 8 flights and 4 cruises booked.
That is a lot to juggle.
Yeah, so she physically writes all her confirmation numbers, transportation plans, and daily ports on a calendar, and then just takes a picture of it on her phone before she leaves.
The analog solution to a digital problem. I love it.
Right. But I have to ask, doesn't dissecting every single bus route, shuttle fee, and airport transfer completely ruin the spontaneity of a vacation? It sounds like it turns a relaxing escape into a massive, stressful homework assignment.
Well, it only feels like a chore if you view logistics as an obstacle to the adventure.
Okay, fair.
For Vicky, the research and the planning actively become part of the adventure. It's a strategy game. By mapping out LAX versus Long Beach or, finding that $78 Orlando flight, she isn't just planning one trip, she's learning systems.
Well, I see.
When you decode the transportation matrix once, you own that knowledge forever. It actually creates spontaneity. Because once you understand how the systems connect, you can make snap decisions in the future without anxiety. You already know all the variables.
So she solves the matrix. But a solved puzzle sitting in a drawer doesn't do anyone any good. And this is where her local Chamber of Commerce mindset collides with her global travel mindset. She doesn't just keep this solution to herself.
No, she shares it. That single Mexican Riviera trip evolved into this massive ecosystem: podcasts, landing pages, graphics, blogs.
Right.
She took the raw data of her travel puzzle and engineered it into a masterclass for others, using some very specific technology to make it happen.
Yeah, she incorporates AI tools, specifically Notebook LM, for travel planning and content creation. But I want to be really clear about how she's using this, because she isn't just going to a chatbot and saying, write me a travel itinerary.
No, the mechanism of Notebook LM is different. It's an AI tool that grounds its answers in the specific documents you provide it.
Right, so she feeds it her actual research.
Exactly. The PDFs of the bus schedules, her flight matrix spreadsheets, the port maps, her notes on travel insurance strategies, airport lounge access. She uses the AI to synthesize all of those disparate logistical facts into cohesive, readable narratives and guides.
And out of that synthesis, she created 2 conceptual podcast hosts for Wildcard Adventures named Sage and Miles.
They are the 2 halves of the travel experience personified into distinct avatars.
I love this concept.
It's so clever. So Sage is the female co-host. She represents curiosity, exploration, learning, confidence, and discovery.
She's the spirit of the adventure.
Yeah, she's the one asking, what if we go here? And then Miles is the male co-host, and he represents strategy, logistics, planning, transportation, and problem solving. He's the architect asking, how do we actually get there?
She essentially cloned her own problem-solving brain into these 2 avatars, one for the dreamers, one for the planners. But if someone is just an everyday traveler consuming her content, how does splitting the experience into these 2 personas actually help them? Doesn't the rigid planning of a Miles risk alienating the spontaneous travelers who just want to be a sage?
It actually bridges a very common gap in travel dynamics. Just think about couples or friends traveling together.
Oh, yeah.
Usually, one person naturally defaults to being the sage, right? They want to wander, discover, be spontaneous. While the other person is forced to be the Miles, they're stressing over the bus schedules and holding all the passports.
And that causes so much friction on trips.
Tons of friction. So by addressing both sides equally in her content, Vicky validates both necessary mindsets. She teaches the dreamer how to understand the planning so they aren't helpless, and she teaches the planner how to relax into the dream so they aren't stressed the entire time. That makes so much sense. And the ultimate goal of all this content, the AI synthesis, the Sage and Miles dynamic, the shared logistical research, it's all to facilitate community travel.
The pinnacle of this entire system is bringing people together. The sources highlight a September group cruise on the Carnival Panorama. Here, she applies what she calls the power of 5 in shared adventures.
Let's break down the mechanics of that. What makes a group adventure fundamentally different than just traveling alone?
Well, the Power of Five essentially operates on the principle that small group synergy optimizes the travel experience.
Okay.
When you travel as a small collective, say 5 people, you pool your resources. You share the costs of private transfers, which suddenly become cheaper than individual bus tickets.
Oh, right. Economies of scale.
Exactly. And you pool your problem-solving skills, too. If one person is great at navigating airports and another is great at finding local restaurants, the whole group benefits. It takes the individual logistical victories she achieved and turns them into community resources. It proves that the project is significantly bigger than any single trip.
Yes.
And it always comes back to connection. Whether she is pulling the story out of a volunteer at the Windsor Chamber of Commerce or organizing the logistics for a group of people on a Carnival cruise, she is looking for the underlying narrative.
The underlying mechanism remains constant. Gather stories, decode the systems, and share the knowledge.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? If we synthesize the overarching theme here, it's that whether you are discovering the human story behind a quiet local storefront in your neighborhood, or you're charting a highly complex path from a regional airport in northern Colorado to a cruise terminal in Long Beach, the secret ingredient is relentless curiosity.
Absolutely.
It's refusing to accept the surface-level presentation. Vicky has a master quote that just encapsulates everything we've unpacked today. She says, if you don't go, you won't know.
It is a really simple philosophy, but applying it requires intention. And that leaves us with a critical question to ponder. Vicky operates on the belief that the best adventures sometimes find you, but only if you know how to look for them. So I challenge you to examine your own environment right now.
Take a real look around.
What seemingly mundane local opportunity or what complex logistical puzzle sitting unread in your inbox are you currently ignoring because it looks like too much work?
Yeah, what if you decided to treat that exact obstacle not as a frustrating chore, but as a matrix waiting to be decoded?
Could that be the puzzle that uncovers a story that changes your perspective entirely?